Yeah. I like to say good evening, 10/16/2024. This is Dee's Perspective. I was watching something online and it had a little bit of, it was part one of what's going on with Tim Walz, meaning that he's doing something with a 14-year-old boy. I was listening to this lady that got her own podcast, and I decided to go ahead and share it. Share it. Here we go. Okay. Let me get it all good for me. Can I move this? Am I able to move this? Anyway, um, bear with me. This is my first time doing this on the YouTuber. Okay. Here we go. I forget what her name is.
Let go. So we're going to get into this right now. I'm just going to go through everything here. Now, this is something I can't prove. Obviously, this is a victim word and saying what has happened with Tim Walz when this victim was a 14-year-old boy from the ages of 14 to 18. Okay, Tim Walz was this guy's teacher, and they had a relationship for 4 years during high school, and this victim is coming forward. The name has not been given out, but it will be, because the victim already knows that in order for this to go where it needs to go and have the impact it needs to have, and for people to understand the severity of what could happen with Tim Walz as a vice president, he's going to have to come out with his name and be fully upfront about who he is and what has happened, right? A lot of people will say, how come this person hasn't stepped forward till now, when he was a governor, before he was a governor? And this person actually started coming out and talking about this numerous times, but everything has always been kind of shut down or swept under the rug, things like this. So let me just go ahead and we're going to jump into this here. And I have all of these in a folder. I did well this time. I separated things out because normally it's all over the place. But okay, let's go down to the very bottom here. So Tim Walz, this is the school board for Alliance High School in 1995, which is where Tim Walz was. Contrary to what Tim Walz says, the school board voted 6-0 to fire Tim Walz. Okay, we talked about this months ago, that he was let go from the school. He didn't quit. They told him to leave. Of course, they call it accepting his resignation. They're going to say that in paperwork that they accepted his resignation, but it was because he was told to resign. We know how that works. Joe Biden didn't quit. Joe Biden was told to get the hell out, to get off the Democrat ticket. He didn't resign. He was told to leave, but it has to look like he decided to step out. Same thing here with Tim Walz. He did not leave teaching of his own volition. He was told to leave. And the reason I know he didn't leave of his own volition, because he and his wife, Gwen Walz, and another male teacher all just happened to resign on the exact same day. No, all three were pushed out of this school on the same day for the same reason, and that's their inappropriateness with children that they were teaching. So Tim Walz claimed that he left on his own and was talked into staying, which also is not true. This is the board, just so you know. And then we have the minutes from the school board meeting. I'll show you in just a minute. But this is the school board that told Tim Walz that he was done, that he had to leave, and he was not allowed to be a teacher anymore. Okay, so you have that one there. Let me get back to this. And then we're going to get into why this is a huge deal, why he was told he had to leave, why the school got rid of him. I'm trying to make sure I go in order here, in some sort of order. So this is, let's go up to the very, very beginning here. Hold on one second. Okay, so Tim Walz was a teacher. We know this. There is a gentleman on X called Black Insurrectionist who was reached out to by a victim of Tim Walz. He reached out to him because Black Insurrectionist has done a lot to help the...
Is cooking spray safe? If you look at the nutrition label of all
catching people who have trafficked children, has stopped the trafficking of children, and a lot of other things, okay? So let me try to make sure I got all this in order, because again, the timeline is still, it's just now coming out. There's a little bit more every few hours, and it's very hard to keep in contact or intact exactly which direction this goes. So this is the first email that was sent to Black Insurrectionists, and it says, hey Doc, now that Tim Walz has been picked as the VP, I think it is important we speak. Your work with child trafficked children is the reason I am reaching out to you. I have seen how you have told the stories of others. I am willing to tell you my story with Tim Walz. I became close with him and his wife, Gwen. This man is one of the biggest liars you will ever meet. He manipulated me. He did unspeakable things to me. I can give you details that nobody else can. I know you will keep my privacy. Will you hear me out? So that's one of the things. Okay. So this person reached out to Black Insurrectionists, and there's going to be people who say, why didn't he reach out to the government? Why didn't he reach out to anybody else? And do you trust them? Like, look at everything that's happened lately. Robin Stapp, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Well, look at everything that's happened lately. You have the Secret Service trying to cover up the fact that they willingly let an assassination attempt against Donald Trump happen. You've got the FBI lying about stuff. You have the sitting president and the sitting vice president lying about crap all the time. You have all this stuff coming out with Diddy at the exact same time, which is absolutely crazy to me. But for this man, I wouldn't want to trust the government to do the right thing either, especially when you're coming out against somebody who's trying to be one of the top parts of government, you know, the vice president of the United States. Betsy, love you too, ma'am. Thank you so much. So I can understand, I can understand why he hasn't reached out to government officials before this, okay? But the fact of the matter is, there is a person coming out saying that Tim Walz sexually assaulted him, and he has very detailed timelines of this happening. And like Kamala has said since the beginning of her campaign, believe the victims. So I believe this victim, right? Why else would you want to put yourself through something like this national attention that it's going to get if you were not serious about it? I believe victims all the time until it can be proven that it's wrong. So right now, I believe this man that's coming forward until, or if they can prove that something's wrong here, I believe the victim. Okay, so this is the very first DM that this person sent to Black Insurrectionists. Said, if Tim Walz is the VP pick of Kamala Harris, I have information on him that is of a personal nature, as he was a teacher of mine at Alliance High School in Nebraska. And if you want to know more, please reach out to me because I trust you, kind of thing. And Black Insurrectionist wrote back and he goes, I highly doubt Tim Walz is going to be the pick. I don't think there's any way possible she does not pick Shapiro anyway, which is what I said in the beginning. They picked Josh Shapiro. Josh Shapiro realized it was, tying himself to a dead horse and getting dragged around. So he didn't take the VP nomination, and Tim Walz was all that was left. Again, they didn't have time to vet him. It is what it is. So this is what happened. Black Insurrectionists had a phone call conversation with this man. And this was on August 9th. And this is a email that was sent to him. And I want to just tell you right now, there's some graphic nature in this. So just, put on your big girl panties and your big boy ears and all that stuff and pay attention. What's crazy to me is what I'm about to read to you. Tim Walz has come out numerous times and said that he doesn't believe there should be any banned books because he thinks that everybody should be able to read anything they want. I am a grown ass woman reading this thing from this grown ass man to another grown man. And even I'm like, oh, like, it's spicy. Like, it sounds spicy. That's the only way I know how to phrase this. And this is what they're considering. Tim Walz considers G-rated and should be in schools. The truth, no matter what. Look, I love your name. Number one, the truth, no matter what. And that's exactly how I feel about things right now. So we're going to have this conversation no matter what, no matter how people feel, if they get triggered, if they get whatever, we still need to have this conversation. So I want to read you this, but I've given you a heads up that it does get a little, they consider it G-rated. I don't. Okay. Says, thanks for the call. I will lay out in detail what has happened to me. I was 14 years old when I met Tim Walz. Like many normal kids, I was very confused about many things. My emotions were that of a typical teenager. Tim and Gwen Walz befriended me. Now, Tim and Gwen Walz, just side note, both worked at the same high school. They were both teachers in the same high school, okay? He says, I was a loner. They made me feel special. Tim Walz started telling me secrets about himself. He told me I could trust him with anything. I was very shy and having difficulty. Tim and Gwen extended an invitation for me to go to a concert with them in March of 1995. When we got to the concert, though, it was just Tim Walz and me. The concert was the Indigo Girls, who I knew nothing about. During the concert, he started to explain to me the meaning behind the lyrics. He started, the entire time he was explaining this, he was explaining to me that I was gay. The entire time he was explaining to me that I was gay, he was rubbing my back up and down in what I thought was a comforting gesture. Then the next thing I know, I remember feeling tired, overwhelmingly tired. The rest of the night, I am not comfortable telling you right now. I'm going to put in a letter. It is too difficult for me right now. I understand how, and then Black Insurrectionist says, I understand how difficult this must be for you. And then, he goes to clarify. He's like, I just want to be clear that you were 14 years old. You're at a concert alone with your teacher, an Indigo Girls concert, which if anybody knows Indigo Girls, that was like lesbian rock, like back in the day. Like they were straight Lilith Fair, Sarah McLachlan style, whatever, girl for girl kind of stuff, right? And then he's asking him the questions. He's like, were you served alcohol? If you're feeling overwhelmingly tired, were you drinking something? Was the concert in March of 1995? He's trying to, get all the details here. And what's crazy is this isn't the one that's all not G-rated. It's a little more extreme on the next one. What's crazy here is that
build custom industrial machines in day.
This is where it gets weird and sounds wrong. You think as a parent that you should be able to trust the adults in your child's life, right? You should be able to trust their teachers, their coaches, their pastors, their doctors, their everything else. And unfortunately, we keep seeing time and time again that these grown individuals cannot be trusted. But the problem here is a lot of kids are going to go through situations with adults and be scared to tell their parents. One, because they don't want their parents to feel guilty, or they don't want their parents to feel like they did something wrong. Two, a lot of these times these kids are being groomed and they don't understand that what is happening is wrong, or they're scared to come forward because what if they get in trouble? You know how emotions work. But these kids need to know that it's not their fault when these adults do things to them that trusted adults should never, ever do. It is not the fault of the victim. It is not the fault of the child. And this guy finally coming out and having this conversation and telling people about Tim Walz and everything that happened, people are like, well, why did you wait? There are people out there, you will never know the things that they have gone through because of how it has affected them mentally. They've either stamped it down or they've held it in because telling people might make them look bad. It might hurt other people. So they keep it to themselves. And this guy, for, however many years, has kept this to himself. And now he's like, listen, this man could be the possible vice president of the United States. He has already gone through in his state of Minnesota and made it so there's tampons in boys' bathrooms. He's made it so that the word pedophile has been erased from any sort of sexual assault terminology. Pedophile is not the word that is used anymore. They've taken it away. They don't want it to be something. They don't want people labeled as pedophiles in Minnesota. Why would the governor of Minnesota take the word pedophile out of all context there, unless he himself does not want to be labeled as a pedophile? To take that word out is crazy to me. To put in this new MAPS, minor attracted person, whatever, is absolute bullshit. And call it what it is. If Tim Walz was touching a 14-year-old boy, not only is he gay, he's also a pedophile. He's a gay pedophile. That's so many struggles this man is working with. Like, normally they say pick a struggle, pick one thing. That's a lot right there to deal with. And to put that onto a 14-year-old boy is absolutely crazy. But they go after young, impressionable kids who don't realize that this person that they're looking up to, that they consider, a good teacher or, a father figure or a brother or whatever else, they don't realize that what they're doing to them is wrong. It's not normal and it's not something that should be happening. And so they go along with it thinking, okay, I don't really know if this is okay or not. But I see Tim Walz, and somebody said, look at how he treats his son. When he was on stage at the DNC and Gus Walz and his daughter and Gwen Walz were on stage with him and he yanked his son's arm, My very first thought was that is an angry man, and I don't want to know what he does to his children in the dark off that stage where people can't see, because he was willing to grab him and yank him that aggressively in front of all of those people. And then you have people going, oh no, he just didn't want him to run into something. That's not how you stop your child from running into something. The look on that man's face and the anger with which he pulled him is not normal. And this guy who's coming out about Tim Walz is saying that he is a very angry man, and that he would blow up on small things that were small issues, but he would blow them out of proportion, right? Okay, so look, here's the story. I'm gonna read this to you. Just heads up, okay? He says, during the concert, I became extremely tired. I don't know if it was the alcohol, which, number one, why is a grown-ass man giving a 14-year-old boy alcohol? Okay. I don't know if it was the alcohol. I don't know if something was put in the alcohol, but I remember dancing with Tim Walz. We were slow dancing. I remember his hands being inside of my pants a little. He was telling me that it was natural. He was telling me that it was okay. Now, my first thought was, why is nobody in this concert noticing a grown man slow dancing with a young boy? But then you also have to think about it, that a lot of concerts, people are drunk. They are on some sort of drugs. If it's an outdoor venue and it's dark, nobody can see these things that are going on. So again, I believe the victim. He says, after the concert, Gwen was not to be found. Tim said he would take me home, but we would stop off and get something to eat. Being 14 years old, I thought this meant McDonald's. To be honest, I thought I was having a great time. I thought I was beginning to think that I was gay. When we stopped to get food, it was a tavern, and I didn't realize until I was older there was actually a gay bar. There were only a couple of women in the entire place, but they were really not women. So, butch lesbians is basically what that comes down to. He says, I don't remember how long we were there, and I don't remember the drive back home at all. This is where it gets, just FYI, for anybody who can't hear this kind of thing, this is where it gets a little graphic. The next thing I remembered, I was naked and I was in the home of Tim Walz. He was giving me oral sex. I remember it only took seconds, maybe a minute for me to ejaculate. I thought this meant I was gay. I thought this meant I really was gay. I did not understand it was just a physical reaction. I remember being upset. I thought Gwen would walk in. He told me not to worry about it. He told me Gwen would not disturb us. He kept reassuring me that everything was okay, that this was normal, and that he was helping me see that I really was gay. The next morning, I woke up on their couch. Gwen was there. They made breakfast, and they acted like nothing happened at all. Tim took me home, and I honestly thought I had feelings for him. I thought he was showing me life. I remember feeling so confused yet so free. I thought this was part of becoming a man. I remember a definitive bump-like scar on his chest. He told me all kinds of secrets. He told me he was almost deaf from his time in the military, and he told me he had served in the Persian Gulf War. When I finally got home, I did not tell my parents anything. But I thought I had feelings for Mr. Walz. He told me many secrets about himself. At least I thought they were secrets. He told me that he was bisexual. He explained what that meant. I would continually see Mr. Walz during 1995. I spent a lot of time with him whenever I could. I can't remember the exact date, but I moved to another country in the summer of 1995. My parents were becoming suspect. In summer of 1995, he came to see me. We were drinking. We had gone out that night. We got into an argument when I found out he planned on taking students to another Indigo Girls concert. On that night, he left very angry. That is the night that he got pulled over for drunk driving. He called me and told me what happened. He told me he was going to be fired from his football job. At this time, I was in a different school district. This is when I started to learn I was not gay. This is when I began to know I like girls. I did not talk very often during 1996, but my parents had called the school board and had made a complaint. I would never admit to my parents what happened, but they told the school board they had suspicions of a sexual relationship between myself and Mr. Walz. We probably had 10 to 12 sexual encounters, and that's where that stops.
Whoa.
So that to me is very detailed, right? Very detailed, and in the way that you recount a past story. It, to me, does not sound made up. This sounds like the victim of sexual grooming, of trusting somebody that should not have been trusted. It is absolutely crazy to me. Then you take into consideration the fact that not on top of this, you have Tim Walz going to China 33 times, I believe it was, China 33 times. You know what they have in China?
Mhm.
Very, very relaxed laws against grown-ups and minors. That's the way I'm going to put this. Grown-ups and minors. They have very, very relaxed laws about it. They also have plenty of places that will facilitate that for you if that's what you want. Why else would Tim Walz need to go to China 33 times? He liked it so much, he even got married in China, which is, interesting also. He got married in China, in case people didn't know that. But what's crazy is Black Insurrectionist was telling, he started emailing the vice president and the president. The second that this man reached out to him, he went on to the White House website and emailed the White House because it keeps a track, like they keep a record of it. It has to be kept. It will always be in the logs that somebody emailed something in. And he actually took screenshots of everything too. So Black Insurrectionist over on X, if you guys want to go check it out. He emailed them and he said, hey, listen, I want you to know that this man reached out to me. This is what he's saying about Tim Walz, your vice presidential pick. And this is something that needs to be looked into, because if this is true and you're going to put this man in a spot as a vice president, what does that say to the people of our country? Basically, right? People need to know what they're voting for. Do you really think that people are going to want to vote for a pedophile, for somebody who uses the trust of children against them? So he emails the White House, and the White House, of course, doesn't respond. But approximately 7 to 10 days after my email to the Vice President of the United States, putting her on notice that Tim Walz brought a child to an Indigo Girls concert, the story was dropped. So do you guys remember when that came out? They actually said something about the concert. Hold on, let me see what this says here, guys. 1 second here. So we've got Newbie No More unveiling my journey. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. And then Oz the Cat said, sounds legit. We can't allow predators like Walz into office, though highly.
Yeah, that's part one. What I got, what she's talking about. She came back yesterday with some more stuff. Let me see. Let me see if I can find that. Mm-hmm. 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 Let me see. Okay. Yeah, definitely needs help. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Okay, share screen. Here we go. That's it. Sorry, folks. This is the first time I was doing this. So here we go. Squirrel Tribe. Okay. Squirrel Tribe. That's the young lady's YouTube. Squirrel Tribe. Yeah, mama? To the camera. I'm just talking to the camera. Get the hell out of my room. I'm not talking to nobody.
And it has been a little over 24 hours since we had a conversation about Tim Walz and the alleged victim that has come forward that says that he was sexually assaulted by Tim Walz while he was in high school. The victim, not Tim Walz. He was a 14 to 18 years old. There's been a lot of information coming out about that, and a lot of information being...
That was my wife, Sarah, fucking with me. Back to Squirrel Tribe, YouTube. information about Tim Walz. Whether it's true or not.
Debunked. So we're going to talk about that right now and other stuff. So just wanted to give you guys a chance to show up. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay today. I'm not messing with the microphones today. If there's issues, there's issues. We're all going to live to deal with it. So let me just go ahead and we're going to jump into this. So if you were here yesterday, we talked about the allegations that are coming out against Tim Walz about sexual misconduct when he was a teacher in both Nebraska and in Minnesota. All right. There have been 2 victims that have come forward so far, a third one that came forward and was debunked like almost immediately, but 2 of them that have come forward. One was an exchange student out of Kazakhstan, I think. And then another one was a student in Nebraska under Tim Walz. Now, Tim Walz and his wife, Gwen, both worked at the same high school. They took kids to China on China trips, like from their Alliance group, Alliance High School, took them on China trips. And there was this whole thing that came out on Black Insurrectionist. I want to show you guys his page over on X, because a lot of people asking me yesterday, where was I getting the information from on the victim? And maybe I speak very fast, so maybe it was missed by a lot of people, but the information was not sent to me from the victim. It was sent to Black Insurrectionist over on X, and I was reading all of the things that were sent to him to you guys. Now, I pulled up my end when it comes to Tim Walz and a lot of the photos that we went over, a lot of his trips to China, some information about the Indigo Girls concert and his DUI. That was all on me, but the letter that was written from the victim to Black Insurrectionists about the sexual abuse from Tim Walz, that was over on that X channel. And I just want to show it to you. So this is the channel. And again, it's going to be backwards with the live stream. YouTube has done something. It won't let me flip it around on a regular video. It'll flip. So all the words will be backwards, but you guys will understand exactly what I'm showing you here. So this is Black Insurrectionist channel here. You can see this is the profile picture. That's his banner with Donald Trump, and he's got some followers. But the information that I shared with you yesterday was from Black Insurrectionist, and he was supposedly the one who got the letter from the victim. And I said yesterday that I hope to hell it's not true. Nobody wants it to be true that there was a 14-year-old boy who was sexually assaulted by a teacher that he trusted. I don't want it to be true, but it is something we still need to talk about, because this is, in theory, a victim that is coming out and trying to be heard, trying to get their story out there about what has gone on. So we talked about it yesterday in the sense of this could be an actual thing that has occurred. And if this is the case, how was it swept under the rug for Tim Walz to become governor? How has it been swept under the rug when he was vetted, if he was even vetted, to become the vice presidential nominee for the Democrat ticket with Kamala Harris, right? There was a lot of questions going on. So we talked about everything. Now, Black Insurrectionists stated from the very beginning that this person was confiding in him because he liked the way Black Insurrectionists was going after people who were trafficking children and everything else. And Black Insurrectionists said that he was going to be posting up all these different things between him and this victim, and that he was going to continuously post over the next however many days to get everything out there, but try to space them apart so it wasn't all just clumped together and missed. And that's, a lot of people had questions. They're like, if this is real, why aren't you putting everything up all at once? Him to come out with a lot more stuff yesterday, and it's been crickets. Okay. And so there's 2 ways to look at this. A lot of people now, of course, it's, only believe the victims when it suits their needs, everything else. So Black Insurrectionist came out. The last thing he posted was where he says, "Last night, I was given a statement from the victim of Tim Walz to release this morning. I must tell you, the victim has never told me of his intent to bring Tim Walz to court. I assume this means he's trying to seek legal recourse, if possible, in a criminal court." And it basically came out to say that this person was going to reach out to lawyers. So when Black Insurrectionists went completely silent for the last 24 hours, I had 2 thoughts. One, he can't post anything else, because if this victim did reach out to a lawyer, that lawyer would tell him, hey, stop. No more. We need to keep this.
So that's pretty much telling you there was other victims. It's crazy, the world. The world's crazy. And we're crazy along with it. Okay? I don't know how to feel about that. How are you supposed to feel about someone in that you found out that he was taking advantage of kids? And there's others talking about, and there's probably many others that's not going to even say anything. And he's in a position of power. Him as a vice president, imagine the different laws he could get changed. Well, I don't know. Haven't been, but they keep saying chomos are walking the GP now. So go figure. So I don't know what to say. All I'm gonna say is this: what are we living in? How are we living in it? I think everybody need a little bit of something in them because everybody's missing a little bit of something. Um, I don't know what to say, man. It's just, well, the only thing I could say is tell you about a chomo from my neighborhood, um, which he used to come in my home. To me, he was like another brother. Really, his name was Robin. Um, I didn't find out about him until later on. And he's a sick dude. One of my homeboys is really bad due to the fact of this how this man took advantage of this young kid. Anyway, I come from a time when you talk too much about something, you got to go do something about it. You know what I mean? So I don't like to talk too much about a lot of different things because if I start talking too much about a lot of little different things, I got to go do something about it. So I I got to keep it pushing because I just know how I am. So the thing is that sorry for the mess in the bedroom. I know you see all that shit behind me. It's all right, I'm chilling. Anyway, but yeah, you just need to. Let me see what the fuck am I? Here we go. Need to. I don't know. I'm really trying to think of what to say. Like, does is it anything that I could say that where I'm like, wow, he's really like that? No, because these days nothing's hid. They're out in the open. Um, you just gotta see it. You just gotta understand what you're looking at and understand the language that they use. Once you start seeing that, then you really get it because there was things that we like as dudes we wouldn't do with each other. You know what I mean? As a man, you wouldn't like do these things to another man. You wouldn't say these certain things with another man, right? So, it's we don't sex play. We don't sex play because because once you start sex playing, okay, it's like a situation like that. You start sex playing with this dude, and they start sex playing with each other. You know what I'm saying? That shit go one way or one direction. All of a sudden, like after a while, whoop, y'all in the bedroom like Diddy. You don't sex play, homeboy. Never. It don't go down like that. You don't do that to the next dude. You don't sex play like that. Because a real dude will let you know. You know what I'm saying? Like you probably just get hit in the jaw real quick if you're trying to sex play somebody like that. That's how it was when I was growing up. You'll definitely get punched in the face trying to sex play the next motherfucker. Really, the next dude. Really. So it's to me sometimes I'm like, wow, I used to be like, wow, like I said, I had a predator within my home. Like they'd be so close within your neighborhood, and I'd be like, wow, why these kids didn't do that? Why these kids didn't do that? Because I grew up with like hella smart ass kids and shit that wasn't gonna be like, walking over to the motherfucker talking about I know your mama, I got a piece of candy for you, some shit like that. And we used to think like, how these motherfuckers get took, it can happen to anyone. These things can happen to anybody. Really. It can happen to anybody. It's crazy. So, and these are predatory type people. These are predatory people. Okay? They search for the weak. Okay? They search for the weak. You just got to know the language and understand what you're looking at. Everything's out in the open. Everything. There is nothing hidden anymore. So don't be mad because you're on those tapes at Diddy's house. Let's just say. I don't know, man. I'm not trying to make a joke of this shit. No, hell no, I'm not. Because what the fuck happened to this dude, man? He was on a football team. Okay? 14 years old. He thought he ended up being gay. The fuck? Anyway, man, let me get the fuck off here, man. Because like I said, because if I start talking too much about it, I gotta go do something about it. And I hope there's some other motherfuckers that understand what the fuck I'm feeling. Anyway, let me stop cussing. Praise the Lord. I fake the funk because I don't even say that. Okay, I'm just trying to get in the middle. There we go. All right. Y'all have a good night. I hope some of that tape that I played for you liked. Peace.